Hello and welcome back to the Square Body Scout YouTube channel. Today we have purchased a GM ZF6. So I was on one of the Facebook groups of ZF6 GM transmissions, and there was a guy out all the way in Michigan who said that he had one for sale. And he offered very, very generously to drive all the way out halfway and meet me halfway in Pennsylvania. And then I got this two-wheel drive ZF6, which is exactly what I was looking for. For a little while there, I was a little worried that I wasn't going to be able to find one and not be able to run a manual after all, but just waited for a long time, and eventually one turned up. Now, obviously, the issue with this unit is that it's got a hole, the bell housing right here. However, got a brand new one right here, which I'm going to swap out right now. The first thing I'm going to be doing here is removing all these 10 millimeters around the edge and then figuring out what needs to come out after that. So I'm not sure if this big thing needs to come out. It probably does. This yoke definitely needs to come off. That'll be easy, just unbolt it and pull it out. And then I also noticed this thing, which will probably need to come out as well. And I'll pry the tail housing off, and I'll take the engine crane and attach the chain to the gear housing, remove whatever bolts are holding that gear assembly in there, lift out the gear assembly, and then drop it into the new bell housing. Alright, all these bolts around the edges are loose, so now I'm going to take them out and see what else I need to remove before prying this off. The socket size for this thing is a 1 5/8 inches. Alright, so I've got this tail housing off. I learned that you do not have to remove that Allen head bolt. And I learned that because this gear went flying when I pulled it off. Luckily, found all the pieces. But yeah, when you take this off, you do not need to remove the Allen head that's on the outside there. Now that I've gotten this far, it's just these two Allen head bolts holding this to the front bell housing, and then this whole thing is gonna pull right out of here. So I just started wrapping the chain up around the gear assembly. Tomorrow I'm going to come back and wheel the engine crane over here and actually pull this out. See about getting these swapped out. Alright, so here it is lifted up out of the bell housing. Just sort of got the chain wrapped around a few times and then stuck a head bolt up here. And that's how I've been hoisting it up. Whoa, look at that. Well, it looks like we need a new bearing. Ooh, boy. The other one looks fine, but I'm gonna have to figure out what the heck part number that is. Alright, well, there it is. Now I just gotta figure out what bearing to order for down here. As for the old bell housing, I'm probably gonna save this and eventually get it professionally repaired so I can use it in another transmission in the future. Alright, it's been a good few weeks since the last update. Basically, I got this done. A friend stopped by and he was like, oh yeah, let's finish this up. So we just dropped the assembly back into the housing here. Pulling the bad bearing off was very difficult. It took a very decent puller to get what was left off of here. Obviously, the tolerances on this are very tight, so I set the puller on there and just basically worked it off. I had to buy this part off eBay because that was the only place I could find it. That's the bearing number. And yeah, otherwise it dropped right back in there. Very simple, very straightforward. Obviously RTV along all of here. It went back together very, very smoothly. And yeah, that's about it for the Duramax ZF6 for now. So as for next steps on this build, probably in episode 3, I'm probably going to be focusing back on the engine again. Particularly down here, since this is an LML, I want to protect this crankshaft from ever, you know, breaking in two again. So I'm going to be getting a fluid damper, just pulling this stock harmonic balancer off, putting a fluid damper on here, and also getting the crankshaft key kit. So that basically sets a key at the opposite side of the stock pin, where you drill all in and tap the new pin in place. So that will just completely bulletproof this section down here, make sure there's no breaking any pins in the stock harmonic balancer. Because when I got this, the original pin was broken. And then once that's done, I'm gonna pull the engine off, mount the clutch to the engine, mount the engine to the transmission, and then probably just remove the whole front clip off of the Suburban and then lower it in that way. But yeah, that has been the Duramax ZF6, a very cool transmission. This is the first time I've really opened up a manual transmission like this, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this truck feels to drive.